Welcome to The Voice of Retail. I'm your host, Michael LeBlanc. This podcast is brought to you in conjunction with Retail Council of Canada. On this special episode, I'm thrilled to be sharing an interview from my Remarkable Retail podcast with best-selling author Steve Dennis. Our guest is Michael Poole, president of Crocs. As Crocs celebrates its 20th anniversary, we dig into the remarkable growth story behind the increasingly iconic footwear company. We address head-on the polarizing, or is it fundamentally underestimated, nature of the brand and how Michelle has turned that to her advantage. We also learn about the personalization power of jibbitz and how product extensions and geographic expansions are fueling their growth. We also delve into the diverse, increasingly digital-driven go-to-market strategy that is putting the company on a path to hit $5 billion in sales by 2026. Lastly, we get Michelle's perspective on how to balance purpose and profits. Let's listen in now.
Well, we are delighted to welcome Michael Poole from Crocs to the Remarkable Retail podcast. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Great to be here today.
Well, we always like to, before we dive into kind of the growth story, the strategy of your great brand, we just love to have our guests very quickly just give us a little bit about their personal and professional journey and what your current role at Crocs is.
Today, I am the brand president of Crocs. I've been at the Crocs brand for nearly 8 years, and my career actually spans now 30 years, and I've really spent my career developing and elevating global fashion and lifestyle brands. You know, what I love to say is I really enjoy creating great brands and really bringing them to life through amazing product.
As we were preparing for this interview, I learned that Crocs is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. Do I have that right?
You do have it right. We are finally moving out of our teenage years. Yeah, we're growing up.
Well, we definitely want to hear about that. I'm kind of curious. It's still a relatively young brand, and as some of our listeners may know, there have certainly been some ups and downs over the years, but you really seem to be on a great trajectory. So what's been the key to the turnaround?
Really, yeah. So the key to our turnaround has really been, I would say, some very thoughtful and strategic transformation work. I've been at the brand 8 years, and really that was the beginning of the brand turnaround. We laid out a very clear strategy for the organization to follow. We got everyone really focused. When I joined the brand, we were really lacking a clear foundation. And so we set out to really build back brand relevance and clog relevance with consumers around the globe. So we really focused on our iconic classic clog. That is the silhouette, I think many of your listeners would associate with Crocs. I would say the second step was really putting together the right talent and experience. So we brought in a leadership team with deep experience of the industry and deep functional expertise. I think a group of people that really knew what great looked like. And we continue to really, today, obviously it's ongoing. With talent, you're always continuing to develop your talent base. And then I would say maybe the last factor is that we took some risks and we moved fast. I think agility is definitely a competitive advantage of ours. And you will see, and hopefully you have seen examples of Crocs taking risks that maybe other brands aren't prepared to take, won't take. You know, we've done some crazy brand collaborations, which maybe we'll come back to, we've pushed the envelope a little bit. And in doing so have really created some very deep, meaningful consumer connections.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually, and maybe we will get into this a little bit more deeply, but I'm a former Neiman Marcus guy, and you are doing, I guess, a collaboration with Balenciaga. Is that right?
That is right. Yeah, we started a brand collaboration back in 2015, I believe it was. And over the years, we have created some really exciting, compelling molded product. Balenciaga by Crocs, and just actually this month we launched a new silhouette with them. So it's been a really exciting partnership.
Michelle, you've spent a lot of your career. You talked about it in fashion. Really, you've been in the footwear industry. So I'm kind of wanted to take you back a little bit and talk about the brand and really launch into Crocs as a brand. First of all, key question is, what's your favorite pair of Crocs and how many do you have? Like you've been there 8 years, you must have some favorites, yeah?
Gosh, yeah, I have more than I'm going to admit in my closet. That's for sure. I think some of my favorites, I'm actually right now as we speak wearing a new silhouette that we're launching later this year called the Crush, which is an elevated, more sort of fashion-forward version of our iconic classic clog. We also have a very big business in sandals, so some of my favorites as it warms up. We have some great sandals, and people often look down at my feet and say, well, those aren't Crocs. And I think, well, yes, they are. And then certainly some brand collaborations. I happen to have a pair of the Stiletto Balenciaga that we call them the Croc Madame, they're called. Those are super fun. So, you sort of say you love all your kids, but there's definitely some favorites in my closet.
Well, I have to say my Baby Yoda and my cooking ones are my favorites, because it's been a journey for me and the family. We were talking off mic about this a little bit. Take us through Crocs as a brand. I mean, for some it can be, let's say, a polarizing brand. You love them or you don't love them, or you come to love them or you fall in and out of love. I mean, you're certainly stretching the parameters of what that brand. You've got your core product. Talk about how you embrace this uniqueness as part of the brand values. You came from places like Sperry and Decksiders and all these places that themselves had kind of a unique place and position in the market. Talk about Crocs and talk about how you think about that, and as picking up on what Steve said, how you think even more broadly about where that brand can go in your kind of values and the brand ethos.
Yeah, so I think you hit on something really important. Crocs is definitely one of the most polarizing and you could argue underestimated brands in the industry. I think that's why our recent success has taken people by surprise. We don't fight that polarization. It does create some tension, but it's actually part of our secret sauce, and it's something that we're comfortable with. I will say that when I joined Crocs almost 8 years ago, I had some very trusted advisors who told me I was making a big career mistake. And it was actually, I guess, the polarizing nature of the brand that really drew me to it. I've been lucky enough to work for brands with icons almost my whole career. Yeah. At Sperry, we had the iconic boat shoe at the heart of our brand. At Timberland, we had the iconic yellow boot. At Converse, we have the iconic Chuck Taylor. And so, from the outside looking in, what I saw of Crocs was this iconic silhouette that everybody knew that could be very democratic and, very accessible. And my view was, why can't that be aspirational? Why can't, that iconic silhouette be something really special and really be the heartbeat of the brand? And really that's what we've worked over the years to make come true. One of our core brand values is delightfully democratic. And again, it is that accessibility that makes us so broadly appealing. And then, of course, we have the secret sauce of what we call our jibbitz. Our jibbitz are the charms that go in the holes. And that is the ultimate in consumer engagement, because every product can be personalized to an individual's taste. So you just called out, you love the Baby Yoda Crocs or the cooking Crocs, and you said, but, with jibbitz, 5 different consumers could have the same product, but every product becomes individual with jibbitz. So we've really leaned in and dialed up on the personalization as a USP. And then, we continue to leverage our core molded DNA to create additional silhouettes with global appeal.
Yeah, I mean, I selected some of my product from, do you call them a professional line, right? So the ones that are serve hospital workers and restaurateurs, right?
Yes.
You've done a good job, it seems like, finding those niche markets where some of the, the features and benefits really ring true for the audience, yeah?
Yeah, I think where we really focus is where does what Crocs have to offer, core DNA of, comfort, versatility, ease, functionality, where are the consumers who can really, and the parts of the business that can really benefit from that? And so work was definitely, we call it our Crocs at Work business. That is definitely an important part of our business, because again, our product is easy to take care of. It's unbelievably comfortable underfoot. It's durable. It was particularly useful during the pandemic, because it could be cleaned and sort of sterilized. People could put the product on and off without touching it. We definitely lean in, I would say, to big opportunities that exist in the marketplace where our product can really stand out. And that's actually what took us to the sandals strategy, because sandals is an absolutely monster business. It's about a $30 billion global opportunity for Crocs. And our product is, again, very well served to win in that space. So lightweight, versatile, colorful, incredibly comfortable, and the molded technology, really leveraging our expertise in that, we can bring some great product to life at really value price points.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your go-to-market strategy. So like many, you have a DTC, direct-to-consumer element to the business, and you have a huge wholesale business. What's the secret sauce to that, where you, so to speak, again, where you 1 + 1 = 3, where you can do both and grow the business? How do you view your strategy for DTC, and what drove you had tremendous success? So talk about that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, overall, we have a very diversified and well-balanced distribution strategy between our digital business, our retail business, and our wholesale business. And really, we have aligned our distribution strategy to consumers and where they're shopping. Again, we're a democratic brand. We want to be accessible. Several years ago, like many companies, we really pivoted to a digital-first focus. And so we've really, the two key parts of that are our owned business, our .com business, and then our e-tail business. Obviously, there are a number of very successful and partners, e-tail partners around the world. So we partner with them to bring our brand to life. The retail portfolio is a largely kind of owned business in the US, and then we go to market through a lot of distributors in other regions of the world through partner stores. And then our wholesale business is really a composite of a number of really important key partners who, again, we are committed together to drive long-term sustainable growth with. And those partners are around the world. And then we have a number of key distributor markets where we don't go to market ourselves, but we pick, again, really proficient, professional, talented partners who can take our brand to market effectively. And they then sell on to wholesalers and also bring the brand to life through monobrand retail.
Michelle, you mentioned that Crocs is sometimes underestimated. I will plead guilty to have underestimating how well the brand can do. It's just tremendous growth and profitability of late, certainly. But as you think about your growth ambitions, both kind of continuing what you've been doing, but adding additional products, global expansion, those kinds of things, what's on that roadmap, and how do you think about prioritizing those?
Oh, that's a great question. So we believe at Crocs that we have the potential to achieve or exceed $5 billion in sales by 2026. So we have publicly declared those goals. So we're committed, and we have line of sight to something really, really exciting in the future. I would say those growth ambitions really come from confidence in 3 areas: geographic expansion, channel growth, and product pillar expansion. And maybe I can kind of talk about each one. So we have a very diversified portfolio of business geographically. So we have 3 key markets. We have the US, we have EMEA, so Europe, Middle East, Africa, and LATAM as the second bucket. And then we have APAC, so Asia, as the third. What's exciting to see is in the early years of the brand turnaround, we really saw that brand growth happening in the US. We are now adding EMEA to the markets where we're seeing some really strong brand momentum and growth. And now increasingly, with focus on our Asia markets, China, Japan, and Korea are our big 3. We're seeing some really positive signs of brand growth there as well. So I think we have confidence in being able to continue to expand around the world. From a channel point of view, we're seeing double-digit growth from all channels across our portfolio. Looking ahead, digital will certainly remain our top priority, but we're seeing incredibly strong comps in retail, as well as some really strong performance and increased engagement from our key wholesale partners. So again, very balanced channel portfolio with not over-dependent on any one channel. And then the third bucket is product pillars. So as I said, we're known for this classic clog silhouette, but from a product point of view, strategic diversification are really going to be key to future growth. So I think of it as a 3-legged stool. So obviously with clogs, we are the market leader, and we continue to, I think, drive more and more relevance for our clog silhouette and drive more and more demand for clogs. What's interesting right now, we are seeing more and more brands enter the clog space. We're also seeing more and more brands entering the molded space. So we're seeing overall that pie is getting bigger. The total addressable market is growing, and we're confident that we can kind of maintain a leadership role in clogs. The second leg of the stool is sandals, and as I said, it represents an enormous opportunity for us. So we are committed to achieving 4x growth in the category by 2026 by continuing to drive awareness and consideration. And then the third bucket for us is personalization, which I talked about, the jibbitz, really the heartbeat of our brand, driving consumer engagement, consumer retention. And jibbitz will continue to be a strong driver of our success in both the clog and the sandal categories. So long answer, but those are really the three axes of growth as we look forward.
No, that was really helpful. One question I have, and I don't know if you get this a lot, but I guess I'm sensitive to this from having worked in the fashion business off and on over the years. Do you worry that Crocs can be too much of a fad? How do you respond to that idea that perhaps this is a moment in time where Crocs is the hot brand, but maybe the cool kids or whatever will be on to something different in a year or two? Is that a legitimate concern? And if so, how do you mitigate that risk?
Yeah, I think it's always something as working in this business, you've always got to pay attention to and be vigilant to, right? Never taking for granted your success or assuming that it will continue. That said, we do see some global macro consumer trends that give us confidence in our future ability to sort of be beyond trend. And that is, I think, the overall casualization of the market. Interesting, Steve at Vuori was talking about the casualization of the apparel space. We see the same in footwear. Consumers are not willing to trade out comfort. Versatility is super important as well. And as I said, I think the clog silhouette is now becoming more and more democratic. It is becoming more and more mainstream. I think more and more consumers are just used to seeing a clog silhouette as, I think of it as almost sweatpants for the feet, right? So I think that the trend itself is going to, you like that?
I love that.
I do think that that trend is here to stay. We get asked that a lot. And again, I think, comfort, versatility, ease never go out of style. And then personalization is, again, a macro trend that's here to stay as well. And consumers' ability to make something their own. I was on the phone last night to some of our Asia team, and we are really winning with personalization in some of our key Asia markets because the consumer just responds so well to the ability to sort of pick a silhouette as a blank canvas and then make it their own. And that is definitely part of our secret sauce that I think will take us beyond, a trend of today or tomorrow. So obviously we pay attention to it. It's really critical we stay relevant, but we are confident that these macro trends are in our favor. And as long as we stay close to our consumers' needs, we're confident that we can make this beyond just a short trend that comes and goes.
I think it's so interesting. And I guess I underappreciated as well the personalization part of the business. I think it's really fascinating. One maybe slight shift as we are coming up on our time. As I understand it, Crocs is quite committed to this idea of being purpose-driven in the way you run the company. How do you balance profit with purpose? Any general guidelines you can give for our listeners?
I think the way we think about purpose, we spend a lot of time thinking about this. We have a deep commitment to purpose. And, I think at Crocs, we believe purpose is not just what we do, but it's who we are. And I think increasingly now, a brand's values need to be lived from the inside out. I think consumers can very quickly see when messages and values that are being, if they're being talked at, and if there's dissonance between how the company operates and treats its own people versus what they communicate externally. So we think about brand purpose in three distinct pillars and have really organized ourselves and our activities and our investments around them, which is sustainability, and we talk about comfort without carbon as our sort of headline for that. Inclusivity, where we talk about comfort for all people. And the third is community, which is comfort for our community. So, if I start with sustainability, that's something we've been doing a great deal of work on. And just late last year, we made a commitment to be net zero by 2030. So we're really looking at our entire value chain, including ingredients, packaging, resource use, and then what we call product afterlife. So we're doing a lot of work around that and have started to actively communicate to consumers around that. The comfort for all people, I think it starts, as I said, inside the organization. So we're working really hard to be a very, inclusive employer to really best reflect our consumers and the communities where we have offices, where we live and work. And some interesting stats around inclusivity. 2/3 of our global workforce today are women. More than half of our workforce identify as people of color. And actually 2/3 of our leadership team are women today. So the work is never done. We are constantly striving to improve how comfortable our own employees can feel in their work environment. But that's a critical kind of second pillar. And then thirdly, comfort for our community. So this is all about really figuring out how Crocs can support the communities we live and work in. So we think about comfort for our community in terms of donating shoes, donating funds, and donating time. To really be able to address some timely human needs. And actually, we had a recent example. We had a terrible fire in Boulder right on the last day of last year. There were 1,000 homes burned to the ground, a lot of right by our headquarters, just a mile away from our headquarters. And so as a follow-up, we took the initiative. We're donating 30,000 pairs of shoes to the school district.
Wow.
There's a lot of these, the homes that were lost to families, and the kids, the teachers, they lost everything. So that's just one example where we were able to respond really fast to some human needs. But we continue to do that all around the world. So again, a very kind of thoughtful, I guess, approach to brand purpose, really building these 3 pillars of work. And as I said, the work is never done. It's always ongoing, but we have a deep commitment to do it well.
Well, what a great conversation. It's a casual, comfortable product, but you certainly have got zoned in on everything, all the elements of the strategy. So it's really great to listen to. I guess our last question is kind of a funny one. I guess what's next? Because it sounds like there's a lot next going on. But if I had to say, what did you say before? You love all your children. Is there one or two initiatives that you say this is really what it's going to take the business to continued growth and continued success?
Yeah. Not to sound repetitive, but it's really going to be phenomenal execution of the 3 things we laid out: the clogs, the sandals, and the personalization. And something Joe, the CEO of Vuori, said, right, which was product obsession, that really struck with me, right? And I think we have to continue to remember that the way we drive our growth is delivering every single day, every product, like a really great experience, and surprise, delight, excite consumers so they keep coming back to our brand. So excellent execution. It starts with product. It's probably what I'm most excited about. I've already seen what we have in the pipeline for 2023, and it is hands down the best lineup of product we've ever had in the history of the brand. So I have reason to be optimistic.
Well, I love that confidence, love the brand, and such a great interview. And thanks so much, Michelle, for making the time to join us, Steve and I, on the Remarkable Retail Podcast. It was great to experience the journey, and we wish you much continued success. And who knows, maybe even Steve will get himself a pair of Crocs with some elements to it and rock those next week. So, Steve, over to you.
I think the Balenciaga stilettos have my name on it.
I think so. I'm sure they do. Well, thanks for having me. I love this conversation. It was great.
If you like what you heard, please follow us on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform so you can catch up with all our great interviews and insights, and new episodes will show up each and every week. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel, and last but not least, tell your friends and colleagues in the retail industry all about us.
And I'm Steve Dennis, author of the best-selling book, Remarkable Retail: How to Win and Keep Customers in the Age of Disruption. You can learn more about me, my consulting, and keynote speaking at stephenpdennis.com.
And I'm Michael LeBlanc, producer and co-host of the Conversations with Commerce Next podcast, the Voice of Retail podcast, keynote speaker, and host of the all-new Last Request Barbecue Cooking Show on YouTube. And you can learn even more about me on LinkedIn or MeLeBlanc.co. Have a safe week, everyone. Thanks for tuning into this special episode of The Voice of Retail. If you haven't already, be sure and click and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so new episodes will land automatically twice a week. And check out my other retail industry media properties, the Remarkable Retail Podcast, Conversations with Commerce Next podcast, and the Food Professor podcast with Dr. Sylvain Charlebois. Last but not least, if you're into barbecue, check out my all-new YouTube barbecue show, Last Request Barbecue, with new episodes each and every week. I'm your host, Michael LeBlanc, president of ME LeBlanc Company and Maven Media. And if you're looking for more content or want to chat, follow me on LinkedIn or visit my website at meleblanc.co. Have a safe week, everyone.